Welcome, everyone. So excited to have you all here. I'm going to turn on the transcription too. There we go. Love having you guys here. Welcome, welcome. I'm so happy for daylight savings. Who else is here for daylight savings? Yes, love having this extra hour of sunshine. Love seeing you all where it doesn't always feel like it's pitch black. So yay, super excited. Okay, so we're going to have our Detox Your Emotions class tonight, and we're going to be sharing a lot of great information. Love it. Ashley, did you want to open, or did you want me to go ahead and do my portion and then pass on over to you?
No, absolutely happy to open. I'm excited to see you guys here. It's so funny. You said you love daylight savings. I'm like, for us on the East Coast, I don't know if it's true about that or not, but it's like horrific because it used to get dark at 5:30, which was amazing because that meant everyone was ready for dinner and bedtime. So now with it getting dark and it eased and even more, it's like 6:45. So what happens is no one believes it's time to eat dinner or go to bed. So my family is like struggle bus. I intended to get ready tonight. I mean, y'all will laugh, like shower, like all the way ready, but everyone is still awake and doing homework upstairs. Like they're not even reading yet because they think it's 7:30 my time, but it's really 8:30. And in the morning, they had run club at 6:45 this morning, but they thought it was like 5:30 in the morning. So they were terrible human beings. But our emotions play a part in that. So what I really want to encourage you with is to be in touch with yourself tonight. And if you're like me, I literally right now was planning to be beautiful looking and have makeup on and feel confident, and that didn't work. And that can throw you off emotionally. So if you're with me, raise your hand. Like that can totally. So your emotions. I listened to a podcast today that said in the human brain and the way that God designed us, if you don't believe that, that's fine. That's what I believe, that we have about 230 emotions. 230. But most of us live in the range, wait for it. You ready? Of 2 to 3. Most of us live in, ready for it? Anger, frustration, contentment. That's where most of us live. And you want to say no. A lot of y'all, and you're like, that's not true, but like maybe it is. Because you're content, and you might be content 90% of the time, but your other emotions, you can't express them. So you're just frustrated or angry. And that's, I'm sure it's a global issue, but especially Americans, that tends to be the frustration, and the anger is where we express ourselves the most, towards the media, towards each other. And reading a book and listen to a podcast today about it, that like we pass on the emotional damage and trauma to our kids, and then it lasts 9 generations to come. That's really cute, right? So we teach our kids to live in an emotional range of 3 things instead of 230, and they're not able to adapt as adults because they still live in the range they were in when they were 8, even when they're 48. And that is like a horrific fact in itself. But if you think about it, it is most of us. Like I want to not resonate, but I'm like, maybe I have 5. Like I might have 5 emotions, but I'm pretty sure it's about 5. Like I can pretend like it's more, but there's not a lot of times in my life that I'm like, this is anxiety and not frustration. This is disappointment and not anger. Like I don't think my brain and my body differentiate a lot of the time. And I also think like over the top happiness and contentment might feel the same. It's the level of excitement I bring. And so I was like thinking about that, and it just made me really realize that of course we have these amazing oils that are going to help us, but more than that, there's a lot of work. A lot of emotional clutter that we have to deal with. But for most of us, it's not decluttering. It's actually bringing in a new awareness of the emotions. And it's actually saying like, am I apathetic? Am I frustrated? Or am I resentful? Like, which one is it? Because it's really easy to stay frustrated. It's like super easy to stay resentful and not resolve it. But no one wants to be apathetic. Like not caring is almost worse than being against or hating. So let's dive in tonight. It's going to be so fun. I feel like this is like a topic that I'm like, okay, guys, let's have a party here. It's really not fun at all. But with that in mind, I did want to just give us a framework of how much emotional capacity that we have as humans and how little most of us tap into it. And when you're approaching a conversation with your kids, with your spouse, with someone on your team, how little awareness is probably put on their emotional health, even if you think you're good at it. So tonight, before we start talking, or digging into the meat. I am actually using Release, and I used it over my liver and behind. I used it over my thyroid. I also used it over my carotid arteries. Just think they're good places. I'm actually going to use Dragon Time right now. I'm going to use it over my ovaries, and I'm going to use it on the insides of my ankles. It's awkward, playing on my hands. It's fine. My foot doesn't smell the best. And then I'm actually going to use Transformation. I'm going to use this very intentionally. I'm actually going to take 3 drops of Transformation. I'm going to put it in the palm of my hand. And that's a lot of Transformation. It's pretty pepperminty. And I'm going to swirl it clockwise 3 times. And then I'm actually going to fan it into my hands. Pretty wet. Oh, I'm going to inhale for 3. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it for 3. Like a balloon. Let's do it one more time. Let's see if we can do inhale for 6. Hold it. Keep it like a balloon, deflating a balloon. Now I'm going to actually apply the Transformation around the back of my neck. And I'm going to pull up my sleeves, and I'm going to rub the excess off on my forearms. I'm going to take one more. Cleansing or yoga breath or whatever you want to call it. Because here's the thing. If you have an Apple Watch or other watch with all the radiation, right? Like all the toxins for sure, and you can track your heart rate, I can guarantee you lowered your heart rate just by applying the oils and intentionally breathing. That's going to bring an awareness to your body. It's going to bring an awareness to your nervous system. It's actually going to bring an awareness to your parasympathetic nervous system, which is going to help decrease the risk of a fight or flight response as we talk tonight. Okay, let's go. I am excited. I'm going to first tell you a little bit of how emotions work in the body. So maybe for you, you're like, this is not super fun. I'm going to plug in the computer. I blame my kids for all of these things. Kidding. Not feel resentment. But essential oils have been used for more than 6,000 years, and their healing effects and improving health have been confirmed by innumerable studies. It's a pretty recent discovery in relation to the past few decades of the chemistry of essential oils and how they may positively affect the way we feel, think, act. And that is to say, our oils are going to work on our mood. Oils are and enhancing our emotional stability. They're not a miracle cure for emotional health. With calmness and well-being or producing an uplifting environment. The reason being is that our sense of smell is much more accurate than any other sense we have. Scent travels faster to the brain than even sight or sound. Our nasal passage is open. When I was doing that scent and smelling transformation, I wasn't just smelling a good aroma, but I was using the olfaction system. Olfaction is a term for the sense of smell. It's an emerging science, which is continually validated by the studies. Our nose already tells us scent is very powerful, much more than we think, and has a great influence over our moods, behavior, and our memories, and our ability to recall a memory. I love to use this example. And for some of you, maybe it's hard, maybe it's raw, maybe it's tender, or maybe it doesn't resonate. I think, be with me. Think about the scent of my first boyfriend. Like he did, he had a cologne, he had a scent. He worked at a store, it had a scent, like just smell like. So I don't have a traumatic memory. Like there's not a traumatic memory association. There's probably a memory association of like you're 16 years old, like really inappropriate. I don't need to remember that and like relive it. But it's not traumatic, and that there's not abuse, there's not like a trauma. There is like this very like youthful, vibrant, like uplifting sense in my little soul when I think about it. So I want you to think about that, because the scent actually, more than like a picture, takes me back to this, like, this is what your life was like then. This is what the car smelled like. This is what the apartment smelled like, all those things. Anybody else? Grandma's cookies, maybe flowers in a friend's house, maybe, with the first boyfriend, but like it's a scent that's easy for me to recall. Yeah. So I want you to think about that and think about the sense of scent as being a really good indicator of emotion. Again, not a mirror, but what they can do is they can take us back to a certain place with that memory recall, or they can help with us being calm and grounded or uplifted. The study of olfaction, as I was mentioning, emerging science, very powerful. One of the senses that's actually possessed in the limbic system. It's right alongside thoughts, emotions. We always say, like, your limbic system, like we have this thought seat in our brain, which is our seat of emotions right in here. So is your connection to your olfactory system. The journey of essential oils to the brain starts with essential oil molecules. Many bits of the oils itself, they travel up through the nose to the olfactory epithelium. Next, the olfactory receptors, called cilia, like those weird looking things, and the olfactory epithelium are stimulated by the aroma. And at this very moment, the receptors are activated and triggered into action and send an electrical signal, literally like, to the olfactory bulb. That is a place that is in the most forward part of the brain. It has many layers, and its chief role is to transmit the smell information from the nose to the brain. And its activity is crucial within the entire olfactory system process. This bulb, it actually accommodates special cells. They're mitral and hair cells that receive signals about the essential oil molecules, and they send them directly to your freaking brain. Directly. You smell something, we have the special system. It's going to stimulate the limbic region of your brain. It's going to send it to the olfactory bulb, and it's going to tell your body what to do. It's going to tell your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system how to respond, how to react, and what to do next. So the limbic lobe is located in the cortex of the brain. That's in a group of brain structures. If you've heard them, the hippocampus, oh my goodness, hypothalamus. I can never say it right. Amygdala. I'm always like amygdala. And this is really the emotional center of the brain. It's responsible for hormone levels, stress, memory, sleep, emotions, and even heart rate. That's why I wanted you to smell the oil. See if you could lower your heart rate by smelling it. It's just a matter of science and biology. Feelings of stress, anger, depression, joy, anxiety, they all originate from this limbic region or lobe of the brain. And the essential oil molecules relay the sense and principles directly. They go right there. So essential oils can increase, soothe, and calm anxiety. They also increase confidence. All this is activated through their chemical interaction with the limbic system. So when you really think about it, we were designed to need natural substances to help our brain and our nose connect and stimulate a response. They elicit a response. Your body will do what you tell it to. It's what tells your body what to do. Your thoughts, feelings, your emotions. Can you always control them? I don't believe that. Can you direct them? Yes. I have had a friend for years that's always said, data is delicious. And I'm like, that's so obnoxious. But here's the thing. I say it in our business, and tonight we're talking about usage and the way we love our oils. It's data, guys. I'm anxious and I use transformation. What's the outcome? I'm anxious and I use stress away. What's the outcome? I'm anxious and I use 2 droppers of the CBD 1,000 mg citrus. What's the outcome? I'm anxious and I use Dragon Time and MindWise for 10 days in a row. What's the outcome? Because your brain is data driven. It is. It's data driven, and it's behavior response programmed. So if you feel anxious and you smell stress away and your body responds, your brain's like, yeah, yes, We are on this train of like, it's good, it's all good. If you're anxious and you do nothing, and then you randomly every once in a while smell digest, nothing happened. If you're anxious and one time you took a bath with a lavender bath bomb and diffused release and you felt great, you didn't train your brain. You just had a success one time. So I want to encourage you tonight to really open your heart and mind to those 230 emotions. And if you're like, I don't feel that, you're probably a liar. 'Cause I'm sure you've either felt it, you're feeling it, or you're about to feel it. So we're either in an emotion, we've just been past it, or about to head into it. And I don't have a timeline for what that looks like for you. That cycle could be 20 years, it could be 2 years, it could be 2 weeks. But we as humans should experience that wide range of emotion, that ultra deluxe box of crayons with 200 colors and not the one with 8. We should experience that. So I'm going to share a couple emotions and some solutions. I'm not going to share the litany I have of emotions and solutions. It's like a million, but I'm going to encourage you. Type in the chat, what emotions do you struggle with the most and do you need the most help with? Or do you struggle with an overall emotional awareness? Because that's another thing too. That Tracy's definitely going to share with us some amazing things that she's done to help her. And hopefully we'll have Jen be able to jump on and share too. But I'm going to go through 2 of my examples and kind of a protocol, I would say, not necessarily a solution, but something that has worked for some people. All right. So anxiety. You can reduce anxiety and heartache by inhaling diffused essential oils or applying them topically. We have found from research, or experts suggest that over 40 million adults may be suffering in the US from symptoms of emotional trauma or anxiety. Peppermint and frankincense topically are a favorite by many for this. Some other great ones for anxiety are valor, lavender, bergamot, frankincense, orange, palo santo, rose, vetiver, neroli, clary sage, cedarwood, geranium, patchouli, sandalwood, and lemon. I know what you're thinking. Ashley, what do we do with them? Which one's the best? Here's the thing. You use them and then you decide which one worked best. You dump them on your body often. You diffuse them constantly. How much? Constantly. Where do you apply them on your body? Some favorites for me. Bottom of your feet, on your wrists, down your spine, back of your neck, on your chest. One place? Depends on how bad it is. Depends on how bad it is. How much do you want relief? How much do you want a solution? So again, just suggestions from experience. Depression. Depression occurs when you're experiencing these symptoms. So the difference between anxiety and sadness and depression: loss of appetite, sadness, low sex drive, low self-esteem, fatigue. Top 5. There's essential oils that can help, but they need to be used often and early in the cycle. Lavender, ylang ylang, Roman chamomile, bergamot, sandalwood, neroli, grape to the fruit, clary sage, geranium, jasmine, rose, palo santo, orange, and helichrysum. I am going to read the next one on anger that I have a note for and then pass it off to Tracy. Anger and irritability. If you have outbursts or you find yourself constantly in a place with an emotional response that is angry or even resentful, and if you're a woman, I would perhaps suggest that you have a hormonal imbalance or it's a symptom of PMS that's only happening during that time of the month. You can begin to manage that temperament, that fly off the handle nature, with a few of these oils. Ooh, you ready? A lot of the same ones: ylang ylang, orange, lavender, patchouli, bergamot, myrrh, Roman chamomile, rose, peace and calming, orange, vetiver, petitgrain, neroli. Research has shown that these oils can help in anger management, They can also reduce blood pressure, ensure emotional balance, and release frustrating thoughts. Another thing I'll add is your liver Vitaflex point on your hand. My sweet boy's going to make me a sparkling water with a little ninja mocktail. He asked me. So with your hand, your point for your liver is about right here, like about by your lifeline on your hand right here. And a really great detox for, wait for it, anger is purification. I've never seen this work like a miracle, rabbit in a hat craziness, but for some, it is a miracle. Purification applied to that liver Vitaflex point is detoxifying for feelings of resentment and anger, especially people that don't know how to recognize it. Right, Tracy, that's what I was alluding to. Kids do not know how to emotionally regulate. They just don't. They have to be taught it. Adults that throw tantrums, cuss, yell, break things, don't have emotional regulation. And want to encourage you, it's a weird oil to use for anger. It's weird. But I would always advise down the spine, some of the oils we mentioned, and then the liver Vitaflex point purification. To go on and further support the liver, because it's great for detoxifying raw and real emotion that actually cause buildup in a lot of our organ systems and our blood of toxins because we hold on to that crap when we're angry or resentful. You want to use any of our Juva products. You definitely want to use Life 9. You definitely want to make sure gut's healthy and using an enzyme. But guys, most of us, anger is one of our top 3 emotions. And if it comes off as passive aggression, or if it comes off as apathy, or if it comes off as people pleasing, or better yet, if it comes off as self-contained, self-preserving, introvertism, making up a word. That's a lot of how anger comes off. So I have lots more to share. I'm going to pass it to Tracy and then I will jump back in unless you guys are going to share with us, which we hope you will.
That was so good, Ashley. So there was a comment from Amber and she's asking, how do you get oils on a kid who's sort of like in the heat of the moment? So I think it depends on the kid. I had a kid who was a bit of a thrasher, so it was hard to sort of put things on him. So diffusing, I would start diffusing right away, or maybe just put it in your hands, right? Put it on you and then just kind of be around because they'll still be able to smell it. But if you can, right, if they're not in that sort of thrashing, like, you know, legs are going all over the place, if you can put it in that spot, that's the spot to do it, right? Like right in here, that would be really ideal. So I hope you guys are hearing the theme that we've kind of got going on this month. It's sort of like detoxing, right? So last week we talked about detoxing your gut. We're talking detoxing your emotions this week. Next week, it's detox your home. It's kind of like the detox month. And I really was excited to do it because I think detoxing your emotions, right? And we talk about oils, but there's also so much that we can do with our environment too. And that's kind of the piece I wanted to talk a little bit about. I know we've got some other folks who've got great testimonials. But what I want to sort of put out there is, you need to do an emotional detox, right? When I mean, you feel it. You're just like, I'm over this. I'm done. How many times have you said this? I say it and I notice that my little guy will say it and I'm like, oh, he's not from me because I'm like, I'm done. And so he'll say it too when he's like frustrated. But like Ashley said, right, those feelings of fear, anger, hurt, sadness, frustration, right? This is the time you need to know. You need to purify. You need to detox those emotions, just like you would detox your house, right? And get rid of the clutter. So if we leave them unchecked, right, those emotions, these are some of the things that we may experience. Maybe you're kind of experiencing it now, right? Sleeplessness, feeling tired, even after getting a full night's sleep, feeling unmotivated, maybe dwelling on the past, feeling more moody than normal. That's usually sort of my thing. Having little interest in the things that you enjoy, feeling overwhelmed by all the decisions. Is anybody feeling this right now? Right? Unexplained irritability or just like snapping. This is another thing that I kind of do too. Like Ashley said, it could be hormones, maybe it's adrenal fatigue, maybe it's just a sign overall you need to do an emotional detox, right? Reacting to small things, right? in a way that you normally wouldn't react to. Maybe it's like someone teased and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm crying, I'm having an emotional reaction, right? Or just this feeling of like, I need a break. So those are some of the signs. What are some things that you can do? So, of course, grab your oils, right? Your oils, number one, are going to be amazing. Like Ashley said, the olfactory senses really help to sort of set the tone for your mind and really kind of put you in that space, right? Where those fragrances, those scents, right, can take you back to a place where you're feeling more peaceful, not stressed out, right? Not overwhelmed. It really sort of brings that balance within you. But there are also some other things that you can do just in your environment and for yourself. So, number one is self care, whatever this kind of looks like for you. For me, I need to go and take a walk, right? Like that's when I think, I listen to a little bit of music, and it's just like I get all of my ideas and I kind of process right when I take a walk. I like to be out in nature or like walking around my neighborhood. Like being on a treadmill doesn't quite have the same effect for me personally to like clear my headspace than if I just take a walk in my neighborhood or like go for a hike. So whether that's like time alone, time to a movie by yourself, maybe getting a pedicure, taking a walk, but whatever that kind of self-care looks like for you, here's what I would recommend. With any of these tips, I highly recommend using your oils along with those self-care tips, because it's almost like your brain will associate that habit, right? That self-care habit with that oil. And then you really look forward to it. Like, okay, when I'm going to go out for my walk, I'm going to grab my purification. I need to really work through some irritation and anger right now, right? I need to walk it off. You put your oils on and it really helps to sort of reset your brain, right? Or maybe you're like, okay, I want to just curl up with a nice book and like maybe a cup of tea and just relax. Maybe you grab your peace and calming, but pair your oils with the healthy habits, right? And it really helps to release and do that emotional detox. Other things, and this is more environment related, let me just tell you, years ago, I've always been kind of a minimalist. My mom was like an uber minimalist even before it was like a trendy in thing. I'd be like, why don't we have any stuff? Why can't we shop at Costco? Why don't we ever have more than like a week's worth of groceries in the house? But that's just how she was. She liked going to the grocery store several times a week. She didn't like having lots of stuff. But I remember when I was young going, gosh, this is so weird. Why don't we have stuff? And you know what? Over the years, as we had kids and like kid stuff, oh my gosh, for those of you who have kids or pets, how much stuff does that accumulate in your house? And when you see that space of the messy toys or the pet toys or things just kind of all over the place, like how do you feel? I had an epiphany years ago, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. I remember we went on a vacation. I think Kai had just been born, and we went on a vacation. We were gone for several weeks, and I felt so at peace in this vacation rental. And it took me a while to really notice, you know why? Because the vacation rental didn't have stuff in it, right? It was just open and airy and clean and clutter free, right? Like just the right amount of dishes that you need. When I open up the cabinet, it wasn't packed full of stuff and overwhelming, right? It was just what we needed. And that's when I sort of started to pick up that I need that in my environment, right? I know everybody's different, but having a clutter-free space, right? Like I personally don't like things on the counter because it overwhelms me and I can't make decisions. Or opening like a closet and just having what I need, but not things stuffed all over the place. Like that personally helps me. So tell me, does that help you? Is there a space in your home when you walk in, you're just like, no, and you close the door and then walk right back out? Right? Think about, are there some things that you can do to maybe declutter, get rid of those things? And you know what? Can I just tell you something that I like to diffuse when I'm decluttering? Anything citrusy. I just find it really uplifting and clean and purifying. Purification would be really good too, but it really sort of helps to set that tone where I'm like, okay, I'm good. I can let this go. I'm not using it. Right. We could probably do a whole other call just on decluttering stuff alone. But in a nutshell, right, if it's not making you happy, right, it's not a seasonal thing, you're not using it, just really think, do you need to hold on to that? Or is that something that you can let go? The other thing is sound, right? Sounds in your home, right? Does the sound itself like make you feel cluttered? Does it overwhelm you? Those are some things to look out for too. Like if I hear like a loud TV, it like really is jarring for me. And so I'm like, no, we need to turn it down. Let's like cut down the TV hours or the gaming hours, because the noise of like those, TV and gaming and all that, it disorients me. I just sort of like chill music in the background, maybe my Aria diffuser, right? Like the sounds going on, like that really sort of puts me in like a really good mood. But something to kind of think about, like, are sounds something that you're sensitive to? And, how can you sort of mitigate those sounds that maybe are a little bit jarring too? So of course, grab your diffuser. You know what? Another one's good is ylang ylang, lavender, anything citrusy, bergamot, joy. Any of like the feeling kit type oils are phenomenal, right? To diffuse or to use topically, right? That are really great for those moments where you're needing that self-care or needing that time to yourself. So good. Other things that you can do, healthy habits and hobbies, yoga, taking a nature walk, arts and crafts, maybe doing something with the kids, like, game time, right? Like playing a board game, but just doing something, right? That kind of like sets your emotions, resets, so that you're not feeling like overwhelmed. But sometimes we have several people that we know on our team who, set a day for a Sabbath or just a day with the family where there's no games, there's no electronics, there's no TV. They literally spend time together and everything goes away. I would love to get to that point soon one day. I'm not there yet, but we do try to have like at least a day where it's unscheduled activities. Again, I think this all kind of depends on where you are in your lifestyle. If you've got littles and they're in lots of activities, that might be a little bit hard to have a whole day, but maybe it's just like a couple of hours where it's like, it's just us unscheduled and we're going to have fun and hang out. So I love doing things like that too. Okay. Any questions so far? Let me go back to no phones. Yeah. I wanted to also just sort of note, doing a digital detox, I think, is something to really consider too. There was a point probably in the last couple of months where I was like, okay, I don't need to be in these Facebook groups. I don't need to be following certain people. You know who I'm talking about, right? Like maybe it just feels emotionally draining to see their feeds, right? Or to like see things. I'm like, we're not unfriending, but I'm just going to unfollow for a period, because kind of like I like my environment to be happy and positive, right? Like the energy in my home to be really good. It's the same thing when I feel I'm looking at my phone. If I'm on social media, I want it to be happy and fun and like have good energy. If it feels draining, I don't know, you guys, I'm a big fan of like, okay, the mute button or the unfollow for a little while button, or just let's take a little break button. So I'm a big fan of digital detox as well. I even personally turn off notifications on my phone. I just noticed something the other day when I was sitting with my husband. It was like every few seconds, all these notifications would pop up. And he's like, did you respond to this? Did you look at that? And I'm like, honey, I don't have any notifications on my phone. So the bad thing with that is when people are texting me, I often don't know. I literally turned off all notifications because I want to be able to use the phone when it's intentional, when I've got the time, rather than breaking what I'm doing in the moment, right? So it was very interesting to see that, but you could even do that with specific apps, with phone calls, with messages, with everything. So really kind of look at and sort of assess what feels overwhelming, right? And think about what can you do to sort of mitigate that feeling of overwhelm. How can you do that detox, right? Whether it's physical clutter, digital clutter, right? Or the emotional clutter that we kind of talked about. I love, again, pairing the oils, but I think a big part of it, again, is thinking about the environmental factors, right? That could be contributing to all that junk, right? That's sort of building up. Yeah, Amanda's saying she refuses to have Facebook or Messenger in the phone. Yep, exactly. So I've got it and I can tap into it at a time that works for me, but I don't have the notifications turned on. So if you send me a message and I don't respond right away, that's probably why, because I don't have the notifications turned on, but that's what works for me. So I love hearing your suggestions too. But that's kind of what I got right now. The other thing I was going to mention is if you've not checked it out, we had a couple of fabulous calls, and I'm happy in the replay, like in the messaging, to show you the replay. We had done a call with my very good friend Angela Lehman, who talked about AFT, which is aroma freedom technique. And it very much is about if you're really feeling like you need to repattern negative emotions or negative thoughts, you can pair them with the essential oils. And there's a whole protocol with that, and she walks it through. So it's about 2 years old. I love that particular call. So I'm happy to share that. But again, it's just like what Ashley was saying with the essential oils, right? Like you use this essential oils to pair with the emotion that you sort of want to reprogram. That's how you do it with the aroma freedom technique. But you can also do it with your healthy habits, right? You're decluttering, you're maybe turning notifications on. Maybe when you're looking at social media, you put on a happy oil, right? Like inner child or joy, so that it sort of sets you in that happy mood. So when you're looking at social media and you're looking at all the good, happy things, right? You sort of feel that emotion, and then declutter the things that maybe don't make you feel that way. So love talking about that. I think Ashley was going to talk about the feelings kit, or did we also have Christina who had a testimonial as well?
Yeah, I actually have a testimonial, and it's really quick, so I can just kind of talk about that for a second. But I had my fourth kiddo. I'm 36, and I had my fourth baby about a year. He's 16 months old, and I don't know if it was having him, and then like when he was 5 weeks old, I had COVID. But like it was just kind of all this, he was a C-section, all of this like hormonal shifts, right? And being a little bit older, and I think maybe I was like lower in minerals and things like that. And although I was doing all the things that I needed to do, for like replenishing my body from losing minerals after having a baby and getting all this nourishment, I was like hitting this wall. And I had like this level of stress that I couldn't figure out, like, why am I not? I mean, I had 4 kids that I homeschool. So of course there's like some stress there, but like, why can I not seem to get past this hump? And it's like this cycle. Like it's when you're really stressed, your body actually like dumps tons of minerals, and you lose magnesium and things like that. And so then that in turn makes you more stressed. And then I felt like I was just constantly like in like this state of PMS for like the last, I don't know, 6 months or so. And I was looking at all of our supplements thinking, what could I try that's new that I haven't tried before? And I saw cortisol, and I was like, you know what? I really probably could use that. My adrenals are probably really tired. Your adrenals are what dumps cortisol into your body whenever you are stressed. And it's a good thing. We want that stress response because, it puts us in fight or flight, right? But we don't want to stay in fight or flight forever. Fight or flight is like this place you want to be in if you're like being chased by a lion. God gave us this ability to like be in fight or flight, and we need it. Shuts down all the rest of our organs, and it just pumps our heart fast and helps us breathe, and it puts us in this state. But we want to be able to get back out of that and back down into our normal state. But sometimes, guys, our like lives are super stressful these days. We don't get the same amount of sunlight that our ancestors got. We don't get the same kind of nourishing foods our ancestors got. We have way busier lives going from here to there. And so we don't take as much time to relax, I don't think. And even when we are relaxing, we're doing it like on social media, and we're taking in all this information, and we're not really giving ourselves that time to like really just turn off our brains and kind of relax and rest, like Tracy and Ashley were talking about. And then on top of all of that, we're also taking in the lights from our phones that are like blue lights that people have said studies can show that can increase our stress, increase the inflammation in our bodies. So anyways, I started taking cortisol, and within 2 days, I noticed a huge difference. And I felt like my hormones were finally shifted, and they finally started like, okay, I'm just going to, hopefully this isn't TMI. I don't care, who knows, but my baby was 16 months old. And although I'm still nursing, I still hadn't started my period yet, which I know can be normal, but I was just like ready. I was ready for that like normal to come back again. And I could tell like that very next day I had started the cycle started, and sure enough 2 weeks later I started my period. So it was like all I needed was that stop of cortisol to help, along with so many other things like the oils, but that cortisol was a game changer for me and like exactly what I needed. And I will say that as soon as I'm done with cortisol is one of those things you take for 2 weeks and then you take off. There's some other ones that I'm really excited to try, like Endogize and PD 80/20. And those are known to support our hormones and our emotions that go along with that. So if you guys feel like you have those same kind of symptoms as I do, whether you are postpartum or maybe menopausal, premenopausal, things like that, those could probably really help a lot as well. And then one more thing I want to say is the light thing. Getting out in the sunshine and getting like morning light is so good. So like getting your eyes and your body and your everything exposed to that morning light is really, really good at helping with our emotions. And it's really, really key at reducing inflammation, which will just kind of balance everything out and you'll feel so much better. Just getting that consistent exposure, especially to that morning light. So anyways, I hope that helps. That's all I really had to say. So.
Awesome. I hope you guys took notes because she just shared details and really protocols of what you should be doing because I forget about all the things. And it's hard not to. Yeah, Christina, do you mind answering a couple questions in the chat thread? Just think they're kind of specific.
Yes, I'm sorry. I can't actually see the chat thread, and I have a baby that refuses to go to sleep since the time change. Let's see. I'm reading them right now. Okay, the question, have I been using Endoflex as well as cortisol? No, I'm going to use them separately, truthfully, just because I wanted to see. I didn't want to start taking a whole bunch of things at one time, because then I wouldn't know what worked, and I didn't want to have to keep taking everything. Sorry, he's crying. But come here. So I'm just doing cortisol, and cortisol, if you read the label, it says take it for 2 weeks and take off a week. And so after that, I'm probably gonna just stop taking it, and I'm taking it again. But once I'm done with these 2 weeks, then I will probably switch like to Endogize and just kind of see which one I react the best to. Did you see any other questions, Ashley? I didn't see any others.
No, it was just a comment. Sorry. I'm going to encourage you guys. We have about 15 minutes left. If you have a testimonial to share, I would love that. So interrupt me, comment, or unmute. I'll read a few more of those protocols. And I wanted to say the reason I'm saying read them is I will be honest with y'all. The stuff that's worked for my family is so crazy. Like sometimes it's so much that I don't know if it's for emotions or spines or legs or muscles or bone. Like I don't always know. I do want to mention, it's funny that I'm pausing and saying it so awkwardly, but I have an amazing kid. He's so amazing. He's for sure my favorite. Didn't really mean that because my one that just brought me, do y'all see this? This is called like the stash of candy no one eats. He brought me this cup of candy, which is so funny to me because I don't think he thinks I'm gonna eat it. I think he thinks I'm like give it to him. And then this Ning's red. So he brought me, wait for it. You ready? Because I just want to show you this. It's emotion, strong emotions, right? He brought me wine, which I think is old. Whatever, it's fine. And then also lots of Ning's red. I think 4 ounces of Ning's red and a lime sparkling water with lime, orange, grapefruit, and peppermint in it. So all the things, all the hydration things, all the things. He brought me a cup of water too. He brought me another bottle. Amazing. Point is, that child is not who I'm talking about with emotions. My middle child, that's 8. I've talked about it before on so many early undergrounds, but he had really severe fluctuations in body temperature, like 104, 105 fevers, several ER visits, like several ambulance calls, fun, lots of trips to the doctor, and couldn't figure out, we were in infectious disease, we were in oncology, all kinds of things. And when we finally figured it out that it was emotionally triggered and it wasn't a response where we could connect to a specific emotion, but we knew he was having all the emotions and it was very hard. So we use a biomat every night. We use a dropper of 1,000 mg CBD. We use citrus, but it really doesn't matter which one. That's preference on flavor. And we use it morning and night. We actually use Mary Ruth's Organics. I know it's not us, and I'm sorry. I just have to be transparent. The tincture, the focus and attention one. So we don't have tinctures. It's a different product than what we have. We use that every day. Then we use the feelings kit on his spine. Biomat is not a brand. Tracy, type in the comments. It's a brand, right? Like Biomat is a brand of a mat. We put them down his spine, and I also use on top of that a lot of the oils from the Freedom Release kit. So I use the emotions kit that I use Divine Relief. I use Trauma Life sometimes. I use Acceptance. I just try to get at least 8 oils down his spine, like 2 to 3 drops, kind of a raindrop technique, feathering, fanning, feathering, fanning, all the things. And something that's really important for him is a lot of physical touch. It's great. Like that, rubbing his back. We read, like I touch his hand, like he likes to touch my leg. He likes to know if he gets in the middle of the night, he can come and be in my bed. Like it's very important to his well-being. Point of saying all that is we went from these fevers that were lasting from 10 to 14 days, 104-ish, and other symptoms, to no fevers when we use the Biomat, CBD, and the oils on his spine. So I don't know the emotion he was experiencing. Like I really can't share that in a way that's like, this is underground. Here's what he felt. But I know he needed, there was something that he was deprived of. And I don't believe it was a mineral or something that could have been supplemented in that way. I actually believe it's like an emotional. It's been 4 years now and we're still on the same train of doing the same things every night. Very important. There isn't a difference in his body when I use more magnesium, like Epsom salts or magnesium flakes, or like a bath or soak, which I wish there was, because that's such an easy thing for kids to have those two. But wanted to share that with you guys. Very important. He also eats a lot of fat. Like he eats, tonight we had red beans and rice with like ground turkey in it, which is a pretty high protein meal. And then I put an entire sliced avocado just on his, like he had an entire one just on his. And in the morning, he tends to be my kid, but like he's eating 3 eggs and some bacon and probably not a carb. We are low gluten, not gluten free. It's funny because I did never think we'd be that way, but that's probably where we are, if that makes sense, with our kids, especially. Just saying all that because with kids and managing these emotions, it's very hard and it's not an easy thing to navigate in traditional medicine. We have had to definitely like be health detectives and advocates. We also do caffeine therapy, which manages some emotions of anxiety in the morning. And we use an L-theanine and green tea extract caffeine supplement. It's not Young Living. I feel so weird when I say things that aren't Young Living. I'm like, oh gosh, but I mean, we don't have that. So we did with him nitro several times and it didn't really seem to make a difference. He doesn't like the taste. It was a fight. And then I did notice a difference during the day when I did it 3 days in a row and his teacher didn't say anything was different. So we went back to a green tea and L-theanine. It's a gummy. Yeah. So there we go, guys. That was a lot of it. Who has something they want to ask about or share? Yeah, kids are so different. Like, I'm like, this, what I just said, if you were an adult, you would never do all that. I mean, let's just be real. You're like, I'm having an off week. You would never do the 95 things we do with kids. My kids respond, both my little two, really well to stress away. And it sounds so simple, but they just respond really well to it. It's an oil that for them, tends to lower a lot of their, if they have like, I mean, I don't measure their heart rates with like a watch or a blood pressure cuff or anything, but it tends to lower their heart rates pretty easily. Cause some relaxation. Yes. Release is amazing. Oh, I'm so sorry, Michelle. So my kid, I was just mentioning, so we don't do a lot of formal diagnosis because I'm apparently a hippie and don't like to. but informal, not doctor, but assessment and observation. He has a lot of visual processing disorders, like probably 6 or 7. It's okay. We're working through that. He has ADHD, generalized anxiety, not disorder. So a lot of that is a lot. My younger one has, my younger one has attention issues, the other side of more like ADD, but like inattention in his brain and not in his environment. And we have found a lot of success with MindWise and a lot of success with bouts of anger and tantrums with using Genius and using it cross body. So like put it on your right hand, Owen, touch your left shoulder, put it on your left hand, Owen, touch your right shoulder. Owen, take your hands, put your right hand on the side of your neck, the same side as your shoulder. But like we do a lot of this with him. And that's been hugely beneficial. Yeah. Like crossbody twist, all of anything crossbody. If you have a kid that's more in their head and unfocused, you want to get them doing spinal twists, crossbody movements. You want to get them doing coordination where they're like raising their left knee and their right arm, raising their right knee and their left arm. And you want to have them doing tons and tons and tons of that. Yes, amazing for all of it, even with babies. I'm probably talking more than I need to. I'm no expert at all in this field. That's why I wanted to say that. Like, we are a hot mess in my house. We have all the issues. I probably also told you I don't experience emotions. So I'm learning. Tracy's laughing. I'm just saying, I really don't. I'm like, why am I crying? Like, that's totally me. I'm like, I'm crying. It's so wet. And like, that's how I live my life. You can judge me all you want, but it's just, it's really hard for me to think of a range of emotions when they're negative. Like positive, I think I'm much more leaning to that. Anybody with me? Like I can differentiate between surprise, excitement, anticipation, urgency. Like these are like positive things for me because I like them. Very hard for me to differentiate between negative. Much more going to this is bad, I am bad, we're all dying. Not as in health problems, but like if my organization isn't doing well or my family's struggling, I'm like, oh, it's terrible. It's all terrible. Yeah, cross body as in like, here's an oil, here's transformation. Take transformation and put it in your right hand. Awesome. Smell it, put it on your left shoulder. Cool. Take transformation, put it in your left hand. Smell it, put it on your right shoulder. Take the bottle, put it back across. Take the bottle, put it back across. Take your hands, cross them at your neck. Take your hands, do some jumping jacks across at the top. Like really, literally, it's literally this. And it might sound weird, but occupational therapists, chiropractors, I mean, we've gone to play therapy. Like this is all something that's so crucial when they're right before crawling stage. And so if you have a baby, if anyone has a baby, if they're not doing lots of picking up where they're crossing body and they're going from left plane to right plane, you really want to work on it. It's a pretty major sign of sensory processing disorder, of autism, of ADHD, and also of anxiety. So you want to make sure like it really is them being cautious and unaware of the way their body moves, which is going to cause distress in their central nervous system. I'm rambling a lot. Tracy, you want to add anything?
No, I think it's so good. And I feel like maybe even we as adults, I remember doing some brain work exercises with my older sons. And it's so interesting how you said cross body. It's been so long that I completely forgot, but that's exactly it. It's almost like you might throw a ball with one hand and then you throw a ball with the other hand, right? Or you're sort of put one arm out, but your left leg, like you're doing, different parts of the body. Like in Pilates, we kind of do this too, but that is really very functional, like Ashley was saying, for your brain and for development. So if it's hard to do those things, what happens is even their eyes track differently. It's so fascinating. You can do a lot of research on this. But yeah, it's really crucial. And, I think for all of us, right, just sort of being emotionally in tune to ourselves, right? But also being intuitive into what's sort of like going on with their kiddos. Ashley and I have talked a lot about this between sensory processing and behavioral stuff and, all the different needs that our kids have, right? Anxiety and this and that. You really sort of understand that there's just no one person who is exactly the same. And so just kind of learning to be intuitive to that and learning, okay, what is the emotion that we need to address? What are some different supplements that we can do to, support that? So you guys, we did this on purpose. We started with gut health last week because guess what? To have, balanced emotions, it doesn't just start with emotions. It actually starts with our diet and with our gut. If you didn't know that, there's definitely a big connection between our gut and our brain and our mood. There have even been lots of studies that show depression, anxiety, the whole range of emotions are related to the gut. So you start with the gut, right? Then you start working with your emotions. And then next week, we're talking detox your home. It's all related. Even having all the junk, right? We had the junky products in our home. It would cause reactions with people, whether it was a digestive issue, whether it was an allergy, whether it was behavioral issues. It's all related, you guys. This is why we wanted to focus the whole month on detoxing and why it's really important to do it. Yeah, Marla's saying, lift up your right knee, touch it with your right hand. Oh my God, I feel like we're doing the hokey pokey. And then do the opposite, right?
Tracy, I'll tell you guys his vision. So we went to a developmental vision specialist and had testing done. And my child is super athletic, as in organized sports and gym. And he just is, and has a lot of energy and will do whatever, if that makes sense. If you're you should dribble the ball fast, he'll do it. If you're kick the ball harder, he'll do it. If run fast, he can do it. But she had him as fast as he could skip in place with a high arm, if that makes sense, skip alternating, and if there's a 100th of a second of hesitation, that's not developed correctly, right? Not being funny, but we should go and do that. It's a thing. And so he literally was skip. It was about this. It was about 1 second, skip. And she's that, if you would have caught that, right? If you had been more aware when he was crawling, you would have fixed it. And then maybe his eye tracking. So he doesn't have just teaming, but his actual perception of things have been different. So I want to encourage you as an adult, what Marla just said, just try some stuff. If you do bird dog ever, in yoga or Pilates or a strength class where it's that alternating where you're on the hands and knees and you're doing alternating arm and leg out, guys, you'll see it in yourself. And Genius has been really helpful on the brainstem. And actually, so base of the skull, brainstem. And actually, if you can do it really close to your coccyx, so the bottom of your spine too, where the iliosacral connection is. So just basically before your butthole, right? An inch above that, probably be good. Sorry if that's inappropriate to anyone, but that's the best way of saying it. Basically go where your butt crack starts, use oils around your sacral joint there. Should help a lot. Twist, right? I all heard about twisting. We know what I said earlier, let's twist. Have your leg just twisted in your seat. It's going to stimulate both of your parts of your central nervous system, and it's going to make your body much more receptive to oils. So thanks for joining us tonight. We are so excited to delve deeper into this with you. We want to get rid of the crap in our environments, but more than that, we want to get rid of the crap in our hearts and our minds. And you have to be united with not just your family, but with the source of connection. So to me, the source of what I use or the main place that I go to is my Young Living oils, my account, my family. And I want to encourage you, if you want to have a conversation, then please, whoever that you feel comfortable doing that with, it might not be any of us that spoke tonight, and that's okay. It can be someone that's your friend in here, someone that enrolled you, and we really want to encourage you to do it. So there won't be a full replay. Or maybe there will be, but it won't be public. We will have some of the information. It will only be shareable if you have the link. So thanks for joining us. And if you want to stay on this link, we'll hop off and hop on, because I think it's the best way to make it ending and beginning. We will talk all about the tax benefits of a Young Living organization. Thanks for joining us. Can't wait to see you again for our next education call next week.